Good evening. Well, it's good to be back here with you after almost a week where I was traveling in Uttar Pradesh. But I'm back. Phase 4 of voting has taken place today. And I want to talk about one of the biggest headlines and controversies of the day. The Congress party and its MP Sushmita Dev have gone to the Supreme Court against the Election Commission in a way. And their allegation is that there have been a series of poll code violations by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP President Amit Shah, and no action has been taken by the Election Commission. So the Congress party is actually seeking directions from the Supreme Court that Election Commission must expeditiously act on these complaints, on these representations that the Congress party has made, and that there should be justice that is delivered. Now, before we move on and I get you more details, I quickly just straight away want to go across to Sushmita Dev, the MP of Congress party, who's actually taken this big controversy to the Supreme Court and filed a petition there. Ms. Dev, thank you for joining us. You have filed a representation, a plea today in the Supreme Court. The hearing will be tomorrow. Now, in the affidavit, in the plea that you filed, you say the Congress party has made about 40 representations to the Election Commission. What has been the Election Commission's response? Has there been any response in these representations?
Well, what I've said is, on a totality, we've made 40 complaints, but our grievance pertains to approximately 8 complaints, which are allegations against the Prime Minister of India and the National President of the Bharatiya Janata Party. So in these complaints in particular, the Election Commission of India has simply remained silent. They have been filed on behalf of the party, and it is an anomaly why the Election Commission of India has not responded to these complaints, and we are seeking a direction from the Supreme Court that ECI must follow the due process of law, issue notice, or at least tell us that these complaints do not have merits. But ECI cannot remain silent. That's contrary to the law.
Now, one of the biggest complaints is that both of these leaders have used and referred to the armed forces and used that tool in their political campaign. But don't you think their speeches have just been smartly worded? In none of these speeches are they directly asking for a vote for the BJP by saying this is what we have done for the forces, this is what we did in Pulwama or Balakot, hence you give us vote. So maybe there is no direct violation here, Sushmita Dev.
See, let me give a small example. My party feels, to tell the first-time voters that think of Pulwama before you go to vote is directly using the defense forces to seek votes. Now, having said that, if the Election Commission of India feels that Prime Minister Modi can get away by saying this, then that's fine, but you have to tell us. Please understand the nature of this petition. The petition, the main grievance of the petition is not on the merits of our complaint, not to give a decision on the merits of our complaint, but the key question is, how can the Election Commission of India not do anything? It is complete inaction and silent. Can a constitutional body who is seized of a matter of a complaint not take any action? They have taken action against Mayawati, they have taken action against Adityanath, they have taken action against Sidhu, Azam Khan, Maneka Gandhi. Then what is the reason that the ECI is silent when it comes to the Prime Minister of India and Amit Shah? That's the only question before the Supreme Court. It's not on merits, whether what Narendra Modi ji said is violative or not of the ECI circulars for the ECI to decide, but they can't remain silent, and that's the point we are raising in the court.
Okay, fair enough. But the Supreme Court is already aware of this entire matter. In fact, it was the Supreme Court that pulled up the Election Commission in the first place, which is when action against, these 4-5 leaders that you just named actually took place. So why go again back to the Supreme Court with a separate plea? Many say you're doing this in response to BJP going to court over Rahul Gandhi's comment that Chaukidar Chor hai.
See, I ask a simple question. we filed many complaints. Why is it that the Election Commission of India selectively does not act upon the complaints which involve the Prime Minister and Amit Shah? See, it's very simple. The law of the country is everybody must be treated equally. What happens to Rahul Gandhi's petition can have no bearing on this, and this petition can have no bearing on the petition against Rahul Gandhi. It's a very simple question that your viewers need to understand. We have filed a complaint. Election Commission of India may reject it. We don't have a problem with it. But you cannot remain silent. You cannot treat some complaints in one manner and the complaints against the Prime Minister and Amit Shah in another manner. There's no second angle to it. It's crystal clear and it's being listed tomorrow. And I am optimistic that the Supreme Court will issue a notice.
But many are saying, Ms. Dev, and the charge against the Congress party is that you are now casting aspersions on the Election Commission. And is that something that is fair in that process for your own political gains? Aren't you denting the image of this institution?
It's an open and shut case. You file a complaint, rules of natural justice say we have to be heard, notice has to be issued, or our complaint has to be thrown out. It is nothing to do with denting anyone. Today, if you go up in appeal against a High Court order to the Supreme Court, does it mean that you are denting a High Court? No, you are not. These are our legal rights. We are exercising it. And in exercising our legal rights, to cast an aspersion of questioning an institution is entirely wrong. It's a fallacy. It's a wrong argument. It's completely misplaced.
But why? Effectively, you are saying that the Election Commission is biased or acting in a biased way.
Of course, I'm saying it. Let the Supreme Court say I'm wrong. I have no problem with it. Can you give me a plausible explanation that why anybody, any authority should not act on a complaint? Can any ordinary citizen apply their mind to it and say, is it acceptable? It's simply not in a country where we have the rule of law.
All right, then we'll wait and watch what happens in the Supreme Court tomorrow. Sushmita Dev, thank you so much for joining us on Top of the Last Word and explaining to us why you felt it was necessary to go to the Supreme Court against the Election Commission over comments made by Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah. Now, I just want to quickly put this in perspective for you. In my hand is the affidavit, is the plea actually that has been filed, the petition that has been filed by Sushmita Dev. It actually lists a lot of those comments that have been made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well as Amit Shah, and I just wanted to take you through some of those comments. Now, this is what Congress says is where Prime Minister they think has violated the poll conduct, and they have gone to the Election Commission with these comments, but they say there has been no action by the Election Commission. And on April 1st, 2019, when he was campaigning in Wardha, he said, how can Congress be forgiven for insulting Hindus in front of the world? Were you not hurt when you heard the word Hindu terror? He was obviously referring to the whole Hindu terror controversy, the Malegaon blast case, the Samjhauta blast case, and how those legal cases have now turned. But these are the comments that Mr. Narendra Modi made. Let's move on to the next one that again in this petition has been mentioned by the Congress party, and that actually also refers to the armed forces. So that's the other objection that the Congress party has made, and we're just going to bring that up on the screens for you. This was the speech that was made in Latur, Maharashtra, where he said, I want to ask my first-time voters, can your first vote be dedicated to the braves, to the soldiers who carried out the Balakot strikes? And then the Prime Minister went on to say, can your first vote be in the name of Pulwama martyrs? Now, this is what I was referring to even in my question to Sushmita Dev. See, he's directly not asking for votes for the BJP. He's just asking the first-time voters to dedicate their vote to the soldiers. Does that count for a violation is what the Supreme Court or Election Commission needs to look into. Third violation that the Congress has raised as a violation. This is the comment that was made on April 21st, 2019 in Patan in Gujarat, where he said Modi was ready with 12 missiles if Pakistan did not return Wing Commander Abhinandan. So he referred to the entire incident of Wing Commander being captured by the Pakistani troops and bringing him home safely back. And this is the comment that was made. In all of these cases, Congress says they filed a complaint with the Election Commission. No action was taken. I'll give you two examples very quickly. There are lots of them listed here, but two examples of Amit Shah as well, because the plea really talks about both of them. So here is the BJP president in Nagpur on April 9, 2019 saying Rahul contesting in a place where it was impossible to say when a procession is taken out whether it's a procession in India or Pakistan. He was obviously referring to Rahul's rally in Kerala where he is contesting elections from, and saying that if you looked at that entire roadshow and rally, you couldn't make out whether you were in Pakistan or in Kerala. The other comment which was there was on the 13th day of Pulwama attack. What you saw was the response that was given by the forces. So Amit Shah also referring to the armed forces, which is something that the EC has warned against. And then he said Narendra Modi ordered his Air Force on the 13th day of the incident. These are the few comments that have been mentioned in this petition. Now, before we open this up for a discussion, I want to go across to Nalin Kohli of the BJP. Mr. Kohli, the big charge here by the Congress party is that they have made representations, they have given the evidence, but EC hasn't even bothered to issue a notice to investigate and even take a decision on this. What is your response to that?
It's not a big charge, it's a charge. Number two, what the Congress party does or does not do is really their right. They are also in their rights to approach the court. That applies to every Indian citizen. That right is there, so they don't have an exceptional right. And nor are we anyone to deny them their rights. Three, let's understand the difference between what they have taken to the court and what is happening in the court vis-a-vis their national president, Mr. Rahul Gandhi. It's a matter of fact that Mr. Rahul Gandhi has added adduced words to what the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court's order was on the review petition on Rafale. That order never spoke about Chokidar. It never said that 30,000 crores went to Mr. Ambani. Or it never even said anything about Chori. Mr. Gandhi attributed that. He's facing a contempt petition. He submitted what the media has reported, an affidavit of apology. So I think you need to understand that's a matter of fact, which is currently before the Supreme Court. Why should it not be seen that somehow to get some kind of parity and protect their national leader's image, the Congress party is filing these petitions to somehow say that, no, we are also in the court and taking Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah ji. You are yourself saying that where did the Prime Minister make an appeal for Balakot or our soldiers? He says, he didn't say vote for the BJP. He simply said, can we dedicate our vote? So in this country now, even invoking nationalism, which I know the Congress party finds very difficult to deal with, but invoking nationalism for national reasons, not the BJP's reasons, is a violation of the poll code. Does this call for an investigation to say, can we dedicate our vote to the martyrs of this country? When I think the Congress is losing the plot. And my final comment, it clearly shows you win elections, people win elections, the parties win elections when they win the hearts of people. And then people go out there and the voters go out and vote. The Congress probably realizes, looking at what they're seeing across the country in Prime Minister Modi's popularity, his rallies, his performance, his leadership, they have lost it probably. And that's why they are resorting to this. They are in their rights to do so. Why should we worry? As far as we are concerned, we have certainly gone with real examples of the Congress party abusing the Prime Minister, abusing Amit Shah, our national president. And we are also taking up with the EC, which is the relevant mechanism, that they should also examine all of it and on merits take action.
Okay, so then do you agree with the Congress party that, like you said, you've made representations to the EC. There has not been any action against Rahul Gandhi. There has not been any notice to Rahul Gandhi on these comments as well. So then do you agree with the Congress party that in some cases, maybe where there are big names involved, there is inaction or, indecisiveness by the Election Commission?
No, I wouldn't agree with that. I think, Tanvi, and I'll also wear my legal hat so that it is not partisan. As an advocate, I can tell you, the EC will do it in a prescribed mechanism and procedure. They are not like, for example, you as a channel are entitled to immediately flash something, treat it as breaking news, and even debate about it and arrive at your conclusion within your rights to believe that A may be guilty, may not be guilty of a said statement, and it may be a possible poll violation. But the Election Commission has to call for the transcripts of the statement. It has to be seen in light of it coming through their mechanism, not through anything. If a translation is required, so it has to be. And then it has to be seen in light of the Model Code of Conduct. They are not going to dispense with that procedure, nor should they. And it's the fact that the Election Commission has been following procedure, that you have India being recognized, praised globally for free and fair elections under the Election Commission, which is a respected body. We can certainly go up there to the Election Commission, request them to take an early decision, but we can't challenge the Election Commission unless there is something blatantly wrong. And I don't see anything blatantly wrong. In fact, prima facie, the statements that the Congress party is claiming require so serious action, they are probably good statements for national integration, national emotion about our martyrs. They are not related to the BJP.
Okay, explain to me this also then, Mr. Kohli, because I'm right now reading two circulars, advisories, if you want to call it, issued by the Election Commission. One of them is dated 19th of March, and the second one is dated 5th of April, clearly because EC saw that nobody was adhering to what they said on 19th of March, so they issued a reminder of 5th of April, and I'm going to read out from that. Para number 6 says, the candidates, campaigners, political leaders are to desist from displaying photograph of defense personnel, photograph of functions involving defense personnel in their ads. They are also advised to desist from indulging in any political propaganda involving activities of defense forces. So when we repeatedly speak about, action post Uri or action post Balakot, action against Pakistan, doesn't that go against what EC is advising us?
But speaking the truth, how is that a violation of any code? Under what statute? Under what legal principle? Is Balkot a recognized real action, yes or no? It is. The Congress party, by constantly raising questions in the public domain, should the truth is, for example, take defamation. The truth cannot be a cause of defamation. We all know that, it's basics. Same, how can there be a prevention or a restriction of the truth on facts? However, if I were to say, or any candidate were to say, that we did Balkot, so vote for us, that would probably come into the realm of what you're reading. But that Balkot happened, how can that be a violation? I can understand that the Congress is desperate. They somehow want to create some kind of mechanism to be able to say, oh, we are trying to, do this against Prime Minister Modi. But politically, what should they be doing? They should be trying to take on the Prime Minister politically. Correct. By saying this is our counter mechanism, or this is what we wish to do. This is how we think your performance is. This is what we want, and we let the voters decide. Instead, they've given up the fight. Correct. They are trying to find these, I call it extraneous issues, which most of them, prima facie, I think have no merit at all, but let the Honorable Court finally decide, since it is before the court. And they are trying to fight their political battles based on others' shoulders. That's what Mr. Rahul Gandhi did. Well, and he's facing contempt proceedings. Well,
I'm sure Congress sees it as a big political issue, as does the BJP, which is why these actions are referred to repeatedly in speeches by BJP leaders, ministers, and even the Prime Minister. But Narendra Kohli, I get your point. Let's wait and watch what the Supreme Court has to say about it. At the end of the day, perhaps it's just wordplay. When it comes to matters of law, then maybe wordplay, gets some leeway there. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me open this up to our panelists as well. Joining us this evening, Mr. Kailash Vasudev, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court. Bacha Sen, Senior Journalist, continues to be with me in the Mumbai studio. Sangeet Kumar Ragi, a political analyst. Rajiv Pandey of the BJP, and also Mohammad Khan of the Congress party. Mr. Bacha Sen, let me come to you first. You've heard both Sushmita and then Nalin make their arguments. Where do you stand on this debate? Do you think there is merit to what the Congress is asking?
You see, the 2 or 3 examples you showed us. One struck me was the one about missiles. That Modi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, or Amit Shah, sorry, had said that he was waiting with his missiles. I mean, if you could put that up or if you could read it out to me.
Yes.
It says that the missiles belong to Narendra Modi.
Correct.
Am I right?
Yes, he says that Narendra Modi can fire 12 missiles. I think that's on the screens right now. If he had the capability, he could have fired those 12 missiles at Pakistan.
Because it seems to suggest that Mr. Modi owned those missiles.
On the 13th day of Pulwama attack, the Indian Air Force went deep inside Pakistan
No.
and destroyed terror camps.
No.
When
I'm talking about the Abhinandan.
Correct. The one after this, we'll just fire that as well.
Yes.
No, the one after this?
Yes.
Okay, we'll just bring it up. But
yes.
yes.
So it seems to suggest that, you see, there was earlier an incident where somebody, I think it was the ordered his Air Force.
Correct.
Did you see that?
Yes.
I believe if these words are correct, that he ordered his Air Force. If you remember, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath mentioned something about Mr. Narendra Modi's army, and the Election Commission took exception to that. Some time ago.
Yes.
And where the army was more or less portrayed as a personal, what should I say, force belonging to Narendra Modi. Now here is another one where Mr. Shah is saying Mr. Modi's Air Force.
So actually that's the translation Congress has given, but I think that's lost in translation. I'll just also read out the Hindi part, because that's what Amit Shah would have said. He goes on to say, क्या फैसला किए अपनी एयरफोर्स के पाकिस्तान के घर में घुसने का ऑर्डर दिया. Now the word play is अपनी एयरफोर्स.
अपनी could be ours or it could be ours. So now that is why I was looking for that.
Correct.
Because there are certain personal sort of personalization which could be subject to interpretation, and I am not, unlike Mr. Nalin Kohli, I am by no means a legal expert, but these interpretations need to be checked. Sushmita Dev is correct that the Election Commission could have just dismissed it out of hand. All they needed to say is, we've seen your complaints, we've examined it, and we find no merit in it, and said goodbye, Tata, we don't want anything. That would have been something. But remaining silent is something which they've taken objection to, the Congress, and have had no recourse but to go to the Supreme Court. The point is, there have been such allegations in recent times. There was an election officer, I think in Odisha, who went and ordered the search of Mr. Narendra Modi's helicopter, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. An election officer.
Yes.
The Election Commission, first of all, summarily moved him out. Then he was sacked. Then the CAT, that is the Central Administrative Tribunal, overturned him being sacked. And then Election Commission has told his parent state government that he should be, disciplinary action should be taken against him. Now, why should that happen? Is there no, since the Election Commission officials or the person in charge of any area, if he has the power to search wherever he feels that something could be going wrong. I mean, other candidates have been searched.
Correct.
And money has been found or not found. But is the Prime Minister somebody really special? Of course, certain people have mentioned that there is a manual, there is a security manual. Fair enough, the Prime Minister's security is much more important than some other candidate. However, the very idea of searching some trunk which was in that helicopter, in the Prime Minister's helicopter, that was not wrong.
So you're saying the transparency and accountability must be for all candidates,
for all leaders? That's what I believe.
Yes, yes, and there shouldn't be different standards.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that the Congress didn't take that up. I mean, that chap has been, and he's trying to defend himself.
Right. All right. Point taken there. Now, let me, go across to our other panelists. Sangeet Kumar Ragi, the fact of the matter is that the last time this matter went to Supreme Court pulled up the Election Commission and said, what are you doing? Why don't you take action against all these leaders with the comments they are making? By evening, 4 orders had been issued.
Yes.
4 leaders had been censured for 48 to 72 hours. The next Supreme Court turned around and said, oh, it seems you have found your powers. Today, again, Congress has gone to the Supreme Court, and by evening, we are getting information that tomorrow EC is going to meet to take a decision on PM Modi's comments and Rahul Gandhi's comments. Do you believe that at some point, maybe EC does take it very slow or doesn't act on time when it comes to the big names?
I heard you very patiently, and please, I also came to know what are the contents that has been written in the petition, and I find that they are better the manuscript for theater, not a good petition at all, and it is absurd petition, and I am really surprised and shocked rather to see that the Supreme Court is admitting and giving time to the Congress party to hear the petition. Supreme Court in earlier decisions have been making that until and unless it is a matter of life and death, we are not going to hear the petition. Anyway, second point that I want to make, that let us talk about the 19th March and 5th July circular by the Election Commission. They were restricting from propaganda. Propaganda is a pejorative term. Political communication cannot be stopped in democracy. Why Congress party is so agitated on Pulwama and post-Pulwama issues? Because the moment there is a talk on Pulwama, there is moment talk post-Pulwama issues that creates fear psychosis in the minds of the Congress party. Because if we track the political narrative since month of January 2019, the entire narrative against the Congress is changing, after Pulwama. Because the moment we talk about Pulwama and post-Pulwama, then we also start talking about the kind of abusive languages that the political parties, particularly the Congress party and its cohort, started using against the armed forces. They were the ones who were challenging whether the surgical strike took place or not. They were the ones who were abusing the chief of the armed forces. They questioned even the air strikes in Pakistan. So why Congress party, the moment somebody says that there is a talk on Pulwama, there is a post Pulwama talk, then particularly the Congress party and the other opposition, non-BJP political formations who are not the ally of the BJP are scared of the political narrative. This is precisely the reason. Second point I want to add, that the moment it is say that it is Narendra Modi was prepared with his missiles, it is something allegorical. You can't you in the political narrative, these are the rightful words. We teach political communication. I'm sorry, if you start taking everything through the legal prism, it is not going to solve the problem. The biggest problem before the country is, even for the Election Commission, that the political parties are going out and saying that you give us the vote, we will give you laptop, we will give you telephones, we will give you the mobile phones, we will be giving you. It is an open bribery. And unfortunately, no political party is talking about. And where the Supreme Court is Supreme Court blind? Why Supreme Court is not taking suo motu cognizance of all this fact? Why is not taking cognizance of this fact? If a political party is saying that we will be creating a policy ambience in which everybody will be given a minimum, remuneration or minimum income, that's a question. But the moment you are saying that we will be distributing these things, 10,000, 15,000, it is absurd. It is a mockery of democracy of worst kind. We are derailing our democracy in the worst manner.
Okay, I get your point. I got your point.
Forward.
And I will.
Doesn't come forward.
I will raise that issue with the Congress spokesperson in just a bit.
Last point I want. Kamal Nath in Madhya Pradesh election. Kamal Nath in Madhya Pradesh election openly said that you please 90% vote for us. Otherwise, we won't be winning. Why the Election Commission didn't take cognizance of the fact? Why FIR was not filed? It was a criminal act.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Does the Election Commission not act in cases?
Present communalization of the fact.
That's what you're asking tonight, and I'm not just saying for one party. I'm saying, does the Election Commission not act in some cases, but acts in other cases? They were wrapped by the Supreme Court. I got your point, Mr. Ragi. Just 1 minute, Mr. Ragi. This,
You will be
this
finding that
election
kind of
commission
political
was wrapped by the
communication
Supreme
happens
Court.
everywhere.
Instantly, they issued 4 orders. Mr. Ragi, just hold on for a minute, please. I agree with what you're saying, but here is the other aspect of it. जिस दिन डंडा पड़ा सुप्रीम कोर्ट से, उस दिन इलेक्शन कमीशन ने 4 ऑर्डर इशू कर दिए. They acted against Adityanath, they acted against Azam Khan, they acted against Maneka Gandhi, a union minister, Adityanath, a chief minister, they acted against Azam Khan, and they acted against one more leader.
Sidhu.
Yes, and Sidhu has been booked, a notice has been issued against him. He has been censured for 72 hours. So suddenly they were taking action. Now again the question has arisen today, and the election commission is meeting tomorrow to take a look at these big guys, the Rahul Gandhis and our Prime Minister, to look at what they have been saying, and Amit Shah. So that's the question we are asking. Is there some kind of dual standards here? Mr. Kailash Vasu, coming to you before I go to our political representatives, what is your view? Is it up to EC's discretion where to act, where not to act? Too much is open to interpretation, while they may not be legally breaking the poll code, but they definitely seem to be building this narrative about the forces.
Good evening. See, the Election Commission is exercising its own discretion at its own time. This time, the allegations against the Election Commission have been very, very powerful and, should I say, powerful and incorrect or correct, whatever you put it. But the allegations are there. Making allegations against the Election Commission, and depending on what the Supreme Court has to say, rapping them on the knuckles and saying that, look, you're not doing anything, you've been sleeping so far. The Election Commission does also act in the larger interest of the nation. They can take action on any complaint received. They can put it in the box and throw it away, so that we're not taking any action. The purpose of holding an election is to have a peaceful election. The moment we are going to go into this and turn around and say that the Election Commission is not doing anything, is going to be a very peculiar situation, because many a times any constitutional body decides not to take any action in certain situations. Here is the Prime Minister, here is a leader of the opposition, there is a leader of the political party making statements. Here is where the caveat comes in. The circulars of the Election Commission of March, April, and even the earlier circulars of 2007-9 have always said that please do not use the defense forces as a weapon in your armory for the purpose of the election. But the Election Commission overlooks the fact that the armory of the army or the defense forces is always going to be used. I still recall in 1971-72, after the Pakistan conflict, after the 65 conflict, I mean, we were children, but we used to keep a track of all this. It was always used by political parties. Because these are not political matters, these are matters of the nation to be proud of. Sometimes we feel sad that we didn't do very well. So to say that a political party should not use the defense forces and their achievements, under which they have been able to do so and achieve things, Atal Bihari Vajpayee's time, post-Pokhran, we had the same situations. So you see, to say that we'll keep the defense forces out of an election process, defense forces in the sense achievements of the defense forces, would be a very difficult proposition for anybody. The Election Commission today will examine the situation of what Mr. Amit Shah said, 12 missiles, 18 missiles or whatever. One interpretation could be, he said, Hamara means the national things, Apna means our national things, but it does not mean the private property of any individual. So these are matters to be adjudicated and decided upon. But one thing we must remember, we must not use the defense forces as a weapon or in the armory for elections. It deflates, it affects the men on the borders. They said, look, they're using us for the purpose of the political gains. Political gains are not done at the cost of the defense forces. They are independent, let them be. Let them do their duty which they do for keeping the national flag flying, for protecting our territories, for protecting all of us. Using the defense forces, in my view, as an election campaign is rather unfair to a group of people who can't defend themselves in the public domain. What happened at Balakot, what happened at Uri, what happened across the border, how many people died. Now, these are not matters for public disputes.
Right.
They're not for public domain discussions. The moment you bring them in, those men in uniform turn around and say, look, we've done our duty and look at these gentlemen. Look what they're saying about us. Are we going to be belittled in this manner? Here is where we have to draw a distinction, and politicians must realize that political slugfests are not going to get them the Paramveer Chakra. The soldier at the border who defends the nation will get the Paramveer Chakra.
All right.
Slugfests don't take you any place. They, on the contrary, cast an aspersion and cause difficulties. Supreme Court will decide tomorrow. Let us see what it says. And this gentleman saying that the Supreme Court is not doing anything, should do it suo moto. It's not for the court to do it suo moto. It's got to receive a complaint. Someone has to petition the court. Someone has to move the court, and the court has been petitioned. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so that's one
They're
aspect.
not going to take a suo moto action.
Which is about the use of forces or reference to, forces in your political campampens. And like Mr. Vastudev said, in some sense, it will always be there. It also happened during Congress's era, and perhaps you can't stop it. The other aspect, coming to you in just a bit, but let me just go across to our other two panelists first. Mohammad Khan, the other aspect is what many say, so what? If a government has taken a decision, if the cabinet and the Prime Minister has taken a decision that XYZ should be our response to a nation, to Pakistan, that we are going to go in and carry out these strikes, and then he speaks about it, so what? What is wrong in it? He took the decision.
Tanvi, it is not a matter of personal opinion or personal taste. It is a matter of obeying the law. And the law must apply equally to all. You very masterfully opened the debate by summing up the two legal propositions in question, the March 9th and the March 19th circular. You in fact even quoted them so that your viewers would know that this is not something that you and I have made up. There is an embargo and prohibition on the use of the armed forces. You read out the language. This is there because we are not a military state. There is a very clear attempt by all governments in the past to create a fine line between the government and the armed forces. The achievements of the armed forces belong to the armed forces and cannot be co-opted by the government of the day. Now, number two, when you have candidates who violate this stricture, then action must be invited. The law must apply equally to all. There's again no room for debate there. When that law is not applied equally, Tanvi, and again you gave examples, you gave 3 examples. When Ajay Singh Bisht of UP gave the same statement that Amit Shah gave when he said Modi ji ki army, the Election Commission took action against him. When a particular member of the BJP was campaigning wearing fatigues, and when BJP leaders put up posters with the armed forces personnel on them for political purposes, the Election Commission took them down. So then can there be a double standard? If you're enforcing it in one regard, then you must enforce it in the other regard. Number two, again, there is very little room for debate here. Mr. Modi is perhaps the most egregious violator of these laws in independent India. The petition divides the offences into 3 categories. First is hate speeches, which you gave 2 examples of. The second are the repeated invocation of the armed forces. You cannot take credit for the armed forces' victory. Talk about nationalism. You've given several speeches, we've not complained. Talk about Pulwama. You've given several speeches, we've not complained. The ones we've complained about, and to remove doubt, Tanvi, we've quoted them in that table, are those where you have tried to seek votes surreptitiously in the names of the armed forces. And the third category of violations, which hasn't been mentioned so far, is the Prime Minister took out a rally on polling day. Tanvi, you will not find a single example in Indian history. We searched. We couldn't find a single example of a leader who was so blatantly and brazenly willing to violate the law. No other candidate has done it in this election. Out of the 543 seats and the multiple candidates fighting, no other candidate has done this. But Modi ji does this. This violates section 126 of the Representation of People's Act, which is not a small section. The legislature in its wisdom ensured that it attracts a 2-year prison sentence. But Mr. Modi deals with it flagrantly. Constrained, I'll conclude on this note, constrained by the fact that these violations are matters of fact. We went to the Election Commission. Kailash sir has already explained to you, an administrative body is there to take decisions.
Just for clarification,
therefore, when they don't take a decision, we are constrained to go to the Supreme
rally
Court.
that you're talking about on the day of voting is the rally, where was this rally?
In Gujarat.
Gandhinagar, Gujarat. The Prime Minister cast his vote. If you look at the petition, you will notice we have given the exact route as well that he took from that particular school to another area. So it was not him getting out of a car, standing in line, casting his vote and leaving. No, Tanvi. This was a rally with flags, posters, processions, and it was planned a day in advance. Tanvi, you would also note in our petition, we pointed out that we actually wrote to the Election Commission a day before the rally, saying that ye kal hoga. Uske bawajood koi action nahi liya.
Okay, quick response from Rajiv Pandey on the comments that have been made by Mohammad Khan. Yes, Mr. Pandey.
It cannot be quick. I am waiting for 42 minutes. It
My
cannot be quick
apologies
that
for
you
that.
will talk for 5 minutes and then you will say me give to quick response. I don't understand this. What is quick response? First of all, this rally of Modi ji is concerned. Wherever Prime Minister is so popular in this country, if he walks on any road, there will be rally and Congress people will keep on talking these things which has no meaning in the eyes of law. The issue of your debate is that whether the election commission should have taken action, taken decision, as the senior counsel participating in the debate has categorically stated that sometime an authority, a court, a constitutional body not taking decision is also a decision. Congress people cannot understand. The problem is Congress is issueless in this election. They cultivated Rafale for last 3 years. It has not yielded any result. Then they start bribing in the name of Nyaya Yojana. That is not giving any result. So now because Rahul Gandhi is going to be convicted under criminal contempt because the formal notice is issued, so now they are making these kind of issues against EC. Maybe tomorrow Honorable Supreme Court either throw that petition into the dustbin or may say that let EC decide as quickly as possible. You know, this whole debate which Congress is trying to make out that Modi ji and Amit Shah has done some poll code violation, even the basic lawyer will understand that there is no violation. He has said that your first vote should be for Pulwama waters. What is the problem in that? That means you come out and achieve 100% voting. Then Amit Shah ji is saying Modi ji, unki sena, hamari sena. मैं कहता हूँ Air Force is mine. What is the problem? Air Force is yours, Tanvi. Air Force is of Muhammad Khan. Last point, if any Congressee is calling Yogi Adityanath ji as Ajay Singhvist, then I find most of the Congressee Muslims are jihadis. If they are deliberately calling Yogi Adityanath, who has taken
that is a very funny comparison.
This is odd.
I don't know why you want to compare Chief Minister's own name to jihadi.
In your channel, then I am saying some people are jihadis in Congress, and jihadis are only supporting Congress in this country.
I don't understand that comparison.
Lost all votes,
Okay.
and that's why they are only talking about jihadis, and jihadi support is there.
Okay, so there's one more question. That comparison makes no sense at all.
On the national channel, this is not said.
Let me ask you this. I agree with you, Mr. Vasudev. It makes no sense at all.
On the channel, you are
I don't know why you think Ajay Singhvist, which is Adityanath's original name, has to be compared to something like this. But I do not want to derail this conversation. I want to ask you, Mr. Pandey, on the specific comment made by Amit Shah. What does Amit Shah mean when he says, if you look at Rahul Gandhi's roadshow in Kerala, you don't know whether you're looking at a rally in India or Pakistan? Is that not a communal comment and totally uncalled for comment to be made, election or no election?
Or is Kerala not part of India?
Is Kerala not part of India? Why does he think Kerala looks like Pakistan?
Kerala is very much part of India, but Tanvi, you should show that visuals to anybody. You know, it is a political statement of Amit Shah ji because the kind of shrinking support base of Congress party, they thought that we will go where the Muslim League is powerful and we will win the election because of the support of Muslim League. So the same party who is involved in the partition of this country, the same party who is supporting
Are they Indian citizens?
The same party who is supporting
Pandey, do some reading before you throw up on a debate. You embarrass yourself with your statements.
Mr. Pandey, it's not Mr. Pandey, ये वो जिन्ना वाली Muslim League नहीं है. I don't know if that's what Amit Shah thought it was, but these are Indian citizens. It's an Indian association. It's an these people were Indians, are Indian citizens in Kerala, which is very much part of our country. I do not understand why Amit Shah thinks this looks like Pakistan.
Only. That is my statement.
Acha.
Shocking.
Yeah, just because they're carrying green flags?
What to say?
That's what you want me to say, right?
Show to the people, let them judge.
Just because they're carrying green flags and not saffron flags?
And let people judge. Why you are
I am showing the visuals on air.
Statements on your channel.
I am showing the visuals on air, and the people will judge you for what you are saying and for what BJP President has said on these comments. And I do think that the Election Commission should take note of this. and should at least issue a notice to Amit Shah to explain these comments. Yes, Mr. Sen, go ahead,
As far as I know, the Muslim League is a registered Indian party recognized by the Election Commission with a symbol which has been recognized by the Election Commission and stands for election in India under the Indian Constitution. So where the heck does Pakistan come into this picture?
They are in alliance with the Congress party. Am I
So
right, sir?
if they were in alliance with you, would they be all right?
पांडे सुन लो कुछ सीख जाओगे यार पांडे बात सुन लो उनकी पूरी कुछ सीख जाओगे
I mean,
Yes, Mr. Pandey.
Mr. Pandey, I suggest you go and complain to the Election
I am
Commission.
saying I am
No,
aware
1
of
minute.
registered
I'd
party,
suggest you
Congress
tell
party
the
is
Election
getting
Commission
their
that they
support
should
to run the
de-recognize
government in
the
Kerala.
Muslim League.
I am saying this Muslim League, Indian Muslim League, the party who is supporting Congress, is having the same ideology. You can go and ask anybody in Kerala
Okay.
who are
But-
they supporting.
but-
They are not supporting popular.
But it's not the, but Mr. Pandey, it's still the ideology of an Indian party. Mr. Pandey, it is still the ideology of an Indian party. It's not the ideology of Pakistan now, unless you and Mr. Amit Shah want to drive home the point that just because there were some green colored flags on that road show, it looks
I
like
never said
Pakistan.
I said the same Jinnah
That's what
Muslim
Amit Shah
League is
said.
following
That's the
ideology.
question I was asking you. Okay, I'm completely out of time here, but thank you to all of our panelists for joining us on this conversation. The fact of the matter is that tomorrow the Supreme Court will hear this. They have admitted the plea and they are going to hear what Sushmita Dev and the Congress party have to say. In the light of this petition being filed in the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court admitting it for a hearing, what has also happened is that the Election Commission has said, we always had a meeting planned on 30th of April where we are going to consider the comments that have been made by Prime Minister Modi, especially in his Latur speech where he appeals to first-time voters to dedicate their vote to the braves of Balakot and to the martyrs of Pulwama. They're also going to be looking at Rahul Gandhi's comment where he repeatedly says, Chaukidar chor hai. So these comments are under the scanner of the Election Commission. But does the Election Commission go slow when these comments, controversial comments, violative comments maybe, are being made by the big faces, by the big names? Let's wait and find out. Thank you so much for joining us on this debate.